It's an honor to stand with you today for the grand opening of Métis Veterans Plaza. Today is much more than the opening of a building. It is the fulfillment of a commitment to our families, our community, and generations yet to come to ensure that they have stability, dignity, and opportunity. The Métis Veterans Plaza is about creating community, reinstituting, traditional practices, so it's culturally appropriate, affordable housing. It's important to say clearly that the Métis Veterans Plaza was not developed in response to a crisis. We began this work over a decade ago when we hired our good friend Alan Wallace to conduct a feasibility study on the density model housing. At that time, we recognized that our existing model of housing delivery carried high costs and that it wasn't fully empowering our tenants or strengthening the community connections. We needed a different approach, one where neighbors could help neighbors, where people could step up for each other even when we weren't there. This project wasn't born out of a reaction, it was born out of a vision.
For many urban Indigenous, they're missing that sense of community and belonging because they're not in their home communities. And so the Métis Veterans Plaza, really one of the ideas behind it was to build that sense of community.
This vision shaped every detail of the development, from the childcare center to employment and training opportunities for tenants, to fully accessible design. Everything here was created with intention to reduce barriers and to create opportunity.
As soon as I moved here, I knew that I was gonna be well taken care of. It was just very, very welcoming from the start, and lots of people asking how they can help out and what I need. I feel like at other places you're kind of just left to your own, and you just kind of got to figure everything out for yourself.
Everybody is so welcoming here. We're all Indigenous, Métis people, and we look out for one another. There are no segregated in a community or in a family. You don't have segregated living or whatnot. We're all one family, and everybody has something to offer.
I think I definitely became more confident because I used to be so isolated where I used to live, and being here I like to go out more. I talk to everybody that I run into, and I have a lot of stability living here. I'm in university right now, is my first year, and I haven't been insanely stressed about going to school and then managing where I live at the same time.
Building community is just as foundational as building the physical structure in which people are housed, particularly when they're dealing with the impacts of trauma, because they can help one another. And so really, like I said, it's about strengthening that in a culturally appropriate way, and where we have neighbors helping neighbors, and that didn't happen before.
I think it's probably not as common because, there might be housing providers out there that are, it's more about profit and it's not so much about best outcomes for the person that they're housing.
When you're serving a community that has been impacted, particularly by the effects of intergenerational trauma, there's a couple of things that you need to do. One is to provide supports on site, but you also need to establish natural supports, right? And so with this density model, we're also providing those natural supports on sites.
My husband is the Camponi elder, and he was asked to come and bless all the units with a smudging. He asked me to come with him, so of course I agreed, joining in with the prayers and the blessings and going to each unit.
I think culture really creates a sense of purpose and pride.
Because if you're living somewhere where your culture is respected, you feel a much better sense of belonging.
And being able to share that with their neighbors, I think, is really important.
One of the greatest strengths of this project has been the way we've worked together. The Métis Veterans Plaza project is proof that collaborative governance isn't just a concept, it's a practice that delivers real results.
The space will also serve as a vital hub for the Winter Sage program and offers wraparound service that are trauma-informed and culturally sensitive and responsive, as well as workshops on cultural connection, mental health and addiction, and financial skills, to name a few. And as a social worker, I can tell you that nothing is more important than to have those supports in place.
So Winter Sage program, we provide supports to tenants in whatever way that they need. They come to us, so it's very participant-led. We really meet them where they're at and we support them with whatever that they need support with.
When you don't have those supports, especially if you've been impacted by trauma, it's really hard for you to succeed.
But these homes, like we've heard already, are not just about affordability. They're providing opportunity. They're providing stability.
This benefits the whole city because it's providing additional opportunities for those that really do need not just the housing or the roof over their head, but they need to feel that sense of community. Individuals that have hope then are able to focus on their purpose.
When people are housed, community safety goes up for everyone. Costs actually go down.
I was inspired that it was a place for all people, that it works for, elders who are living alone. It works for people who have a family of 6. It works for people who need help and support with cooking or childcare or all of these different facilities. They're all part of the same unit, but it also is exactly what humans need. They need not just a roof over their head and food on the table, they need community. And this doesn't just build community for folks who are Métis or Indigenous peoples that will live here. It builds community in this entire neighborhood and across our city.
Housing doesn't have to be just about profit, and it can be about, the tenants that you're working with too.
It can be community driven, right? It can really be built around community.
Getting to know your neighbors and knowing that there's always people to support you and supporting others yourself. I think just a sense of community is really nice and that's hard to come by.
I like that it's community driven and just how much people know each other around here.
We get to become a much closer knit community and we really get to know each other where as elders here, Eric and I can say, at 7 o'clock or so, we're going to have a smudge outside for anybody that wants to come. You're more than welcome.
And really the essence of being part of an Indigenous community is really around that collective.
I feel like I haven't felt that sense of home in a long time until here.